Morning, y'all. Welcome to another fabulous episode of How Many Tabs Are Open on Mr. Johnson's Computer? 246 Light A. All right, so it's Asynchronous Wednesday. We are moving on to review. It is reviewing all the concepts that we've learned this year, so we're starting back at the beginning. Place value. All right, so place value. Here's your decimal point. Remember, your decimal point separates your whole numbers from your decimals. So ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. And then when we go to the decimal side, tenths, which is 1/10 of one, hundredths, which is 1/100th of one, and thousandths, which is 1/1000th of one. Once again, if we're thinking about money, ones are like dollars, tenths are like dimes, hundredths are like pennies, and thousandths are like that little piece on the gas sign. You have it's strange if you look at the gas prices. There's that extra number, and there's one extra number in there, and it's thousands. It's sneaky. All right, so let's take a look. So use this as your reference as you do all of this. If you forget what your place value is, if you forget how to read place value, go back to your place value chart. All right, this will be handy through our whole activity here. All right, so we're going to build and compare. So we're going to make out of these base 10 blocks, we are going to make some of these numbers. All right, and these are going to be your thousandths. You haven't seen these before, but they're the smallest bit. So here's your wholes, whole numbers. That's one whole. Here are your tenths. Over here we have 0/10. Over here we have 2/10. So we're going to move 2/10 over here. So now we're looking on the left side, we're still looking at one whole. On the right side, we're looking at one whole and 2/10. All right, so our next thing over here, we got 4/100ths. So let's move in 4/100ths because that's our hundredths place where there's a 4. Remember, on the number that we're looking at on the left, 1 and 45 thousandths, there are 0/10ths. That's why we have none of the tenth sticks. And then there are 4/100ths. Over here, we have 1/100th because there's a 1 in the hundredths place. So we've finished constructing our number on the right, 1 and 21/100ths. Here's 1, 2/10ths, and 1/100th. Over here, we're not done because we have 1, 0/10ths, 4/100ths, and now we need 5 thousandths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks kind of weird. All right, so there's 5 thousandths. 10 of those together should equal the same as 1/100th. It might not look like that with this exercise, but that's what it's supposed to be. Okay, so I can't get that in the right place. There we go. There's 5. Okay, so 1 whole, 0/10ths, none of those, 4/100ths, and 5 thousandths. Okay, so now we're supposed to compare these two things. All right, we're supposed to compare which one is, excuse me, which one of these is larger. So what we're going to do is, oops, I already have one note open. Close that one now. We're going to compare these numbers by stacking them, okay? So remember, this is exactly how we compare two numbers that are decimals. Because a lot of people think that this number is going to be bigger because it has more digits. But remember, we need to stack the decimal place, stack the place values, and then we can determine which one's bigger. So my two numbers were 1 and 45 thousandths. The other number was 1 and 21/100ths. All right. So remember, we can add a face to save a place, so it's easier to see these things and compare them. And then the next thing that we do is we're going to go one place value at a time from left to right to compare which one's bigger. All right. First place value is our ones. Both of these are 1, so we can't tell which one's bigger yet. So we'll go to the next number, the tenths place, the next biggest place value. And then on the next biggest place value, we see that the number on the bottom is bigger because it has 2/10ths. So this would be like $1.20, where this would be like $1.04. All right. So if we're just looking at these numbers, it's like $1.04 compared to $1.21. That can also help, right? So which one is bigger? 1 and 21/100ths is the larger number. So when we come back over here, We're going to move the symbol that shows that the alligator is going to eat 1 and 21 hundredths. All right, the alligator wants to eat the bigger number. And even though this has less digits, when we look and we compare, the tenths place on 1 and 21 hundredths is larger, so it is the larger valued number. All right? Okay, let's take a look at another one like this. 4 tenths and 68 hundredths. We can already tell which one's bigger. If we're looking at place value, we have a 4 in the tenths place on the left, and we have a 6 in the tenths place on the right. So here's another problem. They didn't give us enough tenths. So you're going to have to create some, it looks like. So here's 3 of them. So we need 3 more. So what I'm going to do is I am going to line them up, copy all 3, and then paste 3. And then that makes, there's 6 tenths. And then I'm just going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, that's too many. That would have been nice if that worked. We can move like 4 at a time now. There's 4. In fact, I'm being lazy. I'm going to copy and paste 4 more. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tenths, and then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hundredths. All right, over here, we don't have any hundredths. There are 0 hundredths. So let's go ahead and compare these the way that we will be accurate every time. Line up your decimal points, and then line up your place values. So we can add an emoji 0 once again to help us. And when we're looking at this, we'll start off on our ones place. Check that out first. We cannot tell the difference. Both of them have a 0 in the ones place. So then we'll move to the tenths place, tenths place, and check out the tenths place. And look at that. One of these numbers has a larger number in the tenths place, so it is our larger number. So 68 hundredths is going to get eaten by alligator because 68 hundredths is more food. So 4 tenths, 6 tenths, and 8 hundredths. 4 tenths, 68 hundredths. All right. Next. So we have a bunch of inequalities and we're trying to figure out which ones are greater than, less than, or equal. All right. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to stack them and compare. So we have 1 and 23 hundredths and 1 and 98 thousandths. 1 and 23 hundredths, 1 and 98 thousandths. Add a face to save a place. Let's double check our numbers. 1 and 23 hundredths, 1 and 98 thousandths. So as you can see, if we look at the ones place, they're the same. If we look at the tenths place, we see that the number on top has 2 tenths, where the number on the bottom has 0 tenths. So the number on top has the greater value because it's 1 and 2 tenths, where this is 1 and 0 tenths. So once again, we're going to take our alligator, and we want our alligator to eat the bigger number, which is going to be 1 and 23 hundredths. All right, next one, 0 and 456 thousandths. And then over here we have 0 and 5 tenths. Add faces to save places, right? Once again, we look at the ones place, they're the same. We look at the tenths place, and one of them is bigger. The one with a 5 in the tenths place is bigger. We added those zeros on there so it does look easier to compare. It's like comparing 456 or 500. So add the faces to save the places because sometimes a number will look bigger because it has more digits. Like in this case, this number had 4 digits, this number had 2 digits, but 4 tenths is less than 5 tenths. So when we add those zeros to save the places, we can see that 500 is bigger than 456. So let's keep going. Oops. This one should be obvious. This is 1 and 98 hundredths. So this is like $1.98. This is 2. There's no decimal point visible, so the decimal point would be after the 2. This is like $2. This is like $1.98. If you had the option of taking one of those amounts of money, $2 or $1.98, $2 is more, take the $2. All right. So with this one, you might not even have to compare. But if you did, once again, just draw faces to save places. And on this one, we can automatically see by the ones place that 2 is our greater number. All right. Finally, on this one, 5/10 or 500 thousandths. This is one of those tricky ones because basically 5/10 or 500 thousandths, they might look different, but then once we add those emoji zeros, we see that these two things are exactly the same. So 5/10 is 500 thousandths. All right. Same thing with fractions. 5/10 is equal to 500 1,000ths. Also, 50 100ths. Same thing is equal to 5/10, which is equal to 500 1,000ths. It's all the same. So these two are equal. So the equal sign. All right. Last page. Position number least to greatest. All right, so we're given 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers, and we're supposed to make them in order from least to greatest. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to make a list and we're going to stack them because once again, that's hard to look at. So here we go. We're just going to make a list of all the numbers on here. And it doesn't take that extra, but it's very, very helpful. So here's 21 hundredths. Next one, 6 tenths. Next one, 358 thousandths. Next one, 2 tenths. Next one is 69 thousandths. So after we do this part, we're going to add our faces to save places so all of these look easier to compare. If you don't draw the smiley face, it's okay. And still add those zeros. That's what we're doing, add zeros. All right, now we want to put them in order from least to greatest. All right, so least is going to be the smallest, and greatest is going to be the largest. So least, we're going to label 1. All right, and if I'm looking at my ones place, one of these is obviously smaller than the others. This has 0, ones place. If I'm looking at my tenths place, sorry. The ones places are all the same. There's a 0 in the ones place. We cannot tell which number is bigger. When we move to the tenths place right here, we can tell one number is smallest because it has 0 in the tenths place. So this is our first number. It's the smallest. Now, when we look for the second smallest number, we realize that both of these have a 2. So we need to also look at the hundreds place. This one has a 0 in the hundreds place. This one has a 1 in the hundreds place. So the one with the 0 in the hundreds place is smaller because that's like 20 cents versus 21 cents. So this is our second smallest and then third smallest. All right. That leaves us with 2 left over, and one of them has a 3 in the tenths place, so we know that that's next because the other one has a 6 in the tenths place, and a 6 is much larger than a 3. So by lining up our decimal points and then lining up our place values and adding faces to save places, we can compare and order decimals very easily. So please line them up whenever you're doing this on your own. Well, my screen is funny. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put these in order. It's basically going to be 69 thousandths is first, and then 2 tenths was second, and then third was 21 hundredths, fourth was 358 thousandths, and fifth was 6 tenths. Let's check our work. Over here, 69 hundredths, or 69 thousandths was first. Cool. 2 tenths was second. Just remember if you wrote those emoji zeros to remember what your original numbers were. 2 tenths. This one was 6 tenths. This one was 21 hundredths. So next would be 21 hundredths at third, 358 thousandths at fourth, and 6 tenths at fifth. So we've put them in order now. All right, so that was place value. That's the beginning of your year again. It's really good review. Place value is the alphabet of math. So please ask your teachers if you have questions. We'll be there for you. And we're going to do some review for the next few days. And so you'll start to see things that you've seen before this year. I hope you have success with this. I hope everything's going well. I hope you have a good asynchronous Wednesday. Thanks for watching. Feel free to like and subscribe. Talk to your teachers and have a wonderful day. I'll see you later. Bye.